This is the first interview of the unicorn Nykaa since Covid-19, since the lockdown. How did Nykaa manage the lockdown? Remember, beauty products, cosmetics can hardly be counted as essentials when you saw the lockdown being more stringent coming into force from March 24th. Has it bounced back? Are ladies buying lipsticks in the era of masks? Are they buying as much makeup as before to doll up and sit for meetings on Zoom and Microsoft Teams? What about the fashion business? Where are they buying the new clothes and going to? Let's get Adwaita Nayar, part of the founding team of Nykaa, the daughter of the founder, Adwaita Nayar, as well as she's also the CEO of Nykaa Fashion, who's joining us right here on this edition of Startup Central. Adwaita, I'm sure you guys one day might look at writing a book on what all went through behind the scenes at the start of the lockdown. But I do want to first up ask you, your lipstick range, so much is spoken about, but this is the era of masks. Are lipsticks being bought on Nykaa? Is makeup doing well at all?
So I think our beauty business is actually doing fantastically. It's now at about 140% of pre-COVID levels or business as usual. We are seeing a shift in terms of what categories are being purchased. So there has been a bit of a shift towards more skincare, more personal care. There's been a premiumization. So yes, I do think you're right. I think less lipsticks are being bought, but they are being substituted by a whole bunch of other products and other categories, which has also been quite pleasant to see.
So what are these other products? For example, if I'm wearing the mask, I'll want to highlight my eyes. Is that what you're seeing? And have you been able to adapt to that, just realizing that certain products are not going to do well and therefore the focus needs to change? You are saying your beauty business is doing really well.
Right. So I think within makeup, there's definitely quite an uptick in terms of the eye category. And then, like I said, I think skincare and personal care and even fragrances have seen a little bit of market share expansion. I think people are definitely spending a lot more time in terms of their skincare routines, taking care of themselves, personal care products as well.
So beauty business, like you're saying, is back above 140% of pre-COVID levels, a very strong bounce back, Adwaita, and a focus towards natural products, less chemical. And these days, for example, turmeric is super hot. Anything with haldi is super hot. Are you seeing that at Nykaa too?
Yeah. I mean, I think you're definitely seeing a shift towards natural. I think we were seeing that even before COVID struck, and there's definitely an inclination towards more natural products around wellness and health as well. I think that's a trend that the entire industry, not just Nykaa, is also noticing.
So, I want to get this straight as well. During COVID-19, it's been a very tough time. People have lost jobs, businesses have folded up, there is so much uncertainty. And beauty products, cosmetics, whatever you might say, is a discretionary spend, right? But you're saying you've registered a 140% bounce back in the business from pre-COVID times. You've actually grown during COVID-19. So what is the hullabaloo about, consumerism taking a hit, discretionary spend being down?
Yeah, so I actually feel there are probably two sort of conflicting or opposing trends going on. There's definitely a massive adoption in e-commerce, and everyone and anyone is talking about that. How what we're seeing in these last 5 months is what typically takes a decade or so to happen. Just so many more people who are not using e-commerce are now taking to it. And I think Nykaa and Nykaa Fashion are both beneficiaries of that trend. And I think then there is a counter trend, which we also hear about, and it's most definitely real, which is where people are trying to save more and spend less. However, I do think, at least in Nykaa's case, a combination of the first trend, which is many more people coming online, shopping online, not having any options to go offline, as well as the fact that Nykaa and Nykaa Fashion are pretty small average order values, and the amount is fairly small. I think they're a little bit less sensitive to changes in demand. So I do think both our businesses, Nykaa and Nykaa Fashion, are actually doing far better than they were, in pre-COVID times.
Okay, so that's the two kind of trends that you're seeing simultaneously, contra trends that are playing out together. But is this universal? For example, are you seeing bigger towns do better than smaller towns otherwise do better than the bigger towns? What's the trend that you're seeing? And is it also just a case of more volumes going up because people can't go to malls and high streets, or they don't want to go, and therefore they're shopping more online, but the average cart, the average billing size is smaller?
Yeah, so actually, we're still seeing very strong demand from non-metros, which was a trend we'd anyway picked up on pre-COVID. It's not that the mix has changed dramatically. It's sort of the same, balance we're seeing between metros and non-metros. But I think one trend that we're definitely seeing is a premiumization. People are spending a lot more in every cart. We're seeing that both in beauty and in fashion. We're seeing that our average order values have increased by 30-40%. It's a combination of people not being able to go outside and buy those items, and then also stocking up on more, so buying more units per cart.
Okay, so people are spending more, the carts are bigger. That's as far as the beauty business goes. But Adwaita, can I now come to the fashion business? You're the brainchild, you're the CEO of Nykaa Fashion. How has that been doing during COVID-19? Because I'll ask you exactly what I asked you about cosmetics and beauty. Are people going out and buying more clothes to just sit at home?
Yeah, so Nykaa Fashion has, kind of hit its stride. We're now almost 2 years old. I think we've now onboarded, we have about 600 brands on the website. The growth has been absolutely fantastic. This year we'll end at about 5x of what we ended last year at. We have seen some interesting shifts, even in terms of categories being purchased. So you definitely saw a slight decline in occasion wear. You saw an increase in things like sleep, lounge, lingerie. But again, as of September, we're back to sort of business as usual mix. So we're seeing clothing and occasion wear and jewelry, again, all increasing. And that sort of sleep, lounge, athleisure coming back down to its normal level. So I would say there was a temporary blip, temporary change in behavior. But you're definitely seeing some kind of normalization there as well.
So where does that leave premiumization, luxury clothing? Is it more for just, t-shirts, loungewear, athleisure to be more at home and at the expense of the premium fashion?
To be honest, we are. Even our premium business has grown from being our what we call our luxe business, which is sort of designer wear in India. Pre-COVID, it was, I think about 5%, and it's gone up from there as well post-COVID. So I frankly think, across the board in e-commerce, the positive headwinds of people just going online because they cannot go offline is more overpowering to some of these other trends we're seeing in terms of people wanting to spend less or save more. So I definitely think e-commerce is the winner, and big and key transactions are happening on e-commerce because people cannot go offline currently.
But what's trending? What's hot these days? Is it athleisure, t-shirts, comfort wear? Like, why would anybody wear or buy very fashionable dresses, for example?
Yeah, so like I said, there was definitely that very pronounced shift, particularly in months like April, May, June, even July. But I have to say, in August and September, you're seeing people going back to buying a lot of occasion wear. We saw good uptick in ethnic wear and occasion ethnic wear for Rakhi. And I think we will, again, we're betting on it kind of in a big way for, Diwali, etc., that will come soon. So I think there has been some normalization there as well, though absolutely what you're saying did exist for, I think, 4 or 5 months.
Okay, so when you see all of this, particularly whether, it's for your fashion business, for example, I don't know how many of your SKUs, garments came, let's say, from China, how much you were importing also for your beauty business. But there is a clarion call by the Prime Minister for Atmanirbhar, vocal for local. What has Nykaa done? Are you relying more now on local vendors? Are you signing on more local vendors, more local brands? How have you figured that part out? And also, what about export houses? They must be sitting on so many orders that, they couldn't ship out simply because borders got sealed thanks to COVID-19.
For Nykaa Fashion, at least, I would say we anyway had a very healthy mix of local brands versus international brands. So if you look at our top 10 brands in Nykaa Fashion, 5 of them were very much homegrown Indian brands, which is kind of what Nykaa Fashion is trying to build in any case. So we did not see too much of a problem in terms of supply chains there, at least from the perspective of this vocal for local mission. And then in terms of our private labels, both beauty and fashion, we were not impacted by supply chain from international countries, and we've been able to bounce back and get a lot of our supply chain in order, and it's been pretty smooth. So in a nutshell, I don't think we're really struggling with that.
So can you tell me what's next, Adwaita? Are you in a cycle where you have to burn more cash just so that people keep coming to Nykaa to buy? They're not going out shopping. Most people are, of course, shopping online because of the COVID scare. Are you having to spend more on marketing, for example?
Yeah, so couple different things there. Like I said, we are definitely looking at digital as a clear winner in a very unfortunate situation. So we are doubling down across the business and setting very ambitious targets and goals across all our businesses. We are also noticing another trend, which is that our marketing costs are reducing and our cost for customer acquisition has definitely gone down. I think it comes back to one of the first trends I spoke about, which is people are more willing to spend online. So I think we're going for it, we're gunning for it. Our targets are pretty ambitious. We've upped our targets, in fact, in certain businesses, and I think we're also benefiting from some of these trends like lower marketing costs, etc. So I think Nykaa is profitable, so it's not about burning cash, but in terms of just being very focused on growing, all the ambition is sort of there.
So after the last fundraise of Nykaa, Nykaa became a unicorn. I want to confirm that after COVID-19, are you still a unicorn? You have said your beauty business has grown. Are you still a unicorn, and are you still profitable?
Right.
Okay, so you are still a unicorn and you are meeting your bottom line trajectory growth. So Adwaita, what is next? You've been talking about how the fashion business is doing well, the beauty business seems to be in autopilot mode. What's next for Nykaa?
Yeah. So, thanks for bringing that up. I think Nykaa Fashion, like I said, we're now at the 2-year mark, and one of the key projects that we're super excited to launch, in addition to our multi-brand platform, which is obviously up and running, is we're launching our own lingerie, sleep, athleisure brand called Naked. Naked is basically, our response to the market right now. I feel that there isn't a brand that just sort of simplifies the lingerie buying process. I think lingerie is a pretty complicated category, and I think the brands and the education that surrounds it makes it even more overwhelming. So we're trying to simplify that whole process, and we're launching a really fantastic brand, which I'm super excited about. 35 products, over 500 SKUs, and that will go live in 2 weeks or so. So that's a brand that we're betting on. We don't like to call it private label because it truly is a brand that we're trying to build. And it will, like I said, have lingerie, sleep, and athleisure. Apart from that, Nykaa Fashion, in terms of its multi-brand portfolio, so that's the 600 brands that we retail, we started with women's fashion, but about 2 months ago, we added kids. This month, we added men's, and later this year, we'll add home. So Nykaa Fashion truly will become very much a lifestyle destination. And so, yeah, I would say between Naked, our other private label / brand 20 dresses, and expanding into men's, kids, and home, we have our hands full.
Okay, so that's going to be the new vertical, lingerie vertical, going live next month. But Adwaita, so it's clear you guys are still in expansion mode. Now you were an omni-channel. You have 70 plus physical stores. You're talking about how digital is the clear winner. Are you going to relook your plan for being an omni-channel player to those physical stores? Do you still need them? You've grown your business without having any of those physical stores open for business?
I think we're still betting that in the long run, the offline strategy makes a lot of sense. I think, pre-COVID, we were very, very positive on our offline strategy. We do have 75 stores, and we felt that that whole offline play actually helped us serve our customers better. A lot of them had been asking for physical stores where they could try the product, try the colors, try the shades. And I think offline became a great channel for acquisition. It also became a great channel for us to, lure brands who are international brands who are more particular, saying that they have to have offline and online presence. So I think strategically offline was really, really the right decision. Yes, obviously COVID did sort of, we did face a setback in the physical business. But again, as of today, I think we're back to almost 50% of our pre-COVID sales numbers from an actual in-store sale. And that remaining 50% we're actually making up in the form of hyper-local orders. So that means that we're actually using our stores as delivery points and delivering orders to our customers from those stores. So net-net, that retail business also, I think creatively, we've been able to bring back the physical business to pre-COVID levels. Do I think going forward we're going to move away from the offline strategy? I don't think so. I think offline continues to be really important in a country like India. I think in a category like beauty, less than 10% of that consumption is happening online. And I think we're so early in India's consumption story that we still need to bring people into this category, introduce them to makeup, introduce them to skincare. And I think that happens best through stores. So would I bet on physical stores? Would I do it again? Would I encourage, as a team, would we do it again? I think we absolutely would. And we will continue to kind of step up these numbers, but maybe after, a couple of months or half a year or a year.
Okay, so can I ask you, having said all this, as India unlocks, Shraddh is over, Navratras are coming, Dussehra, Diwali, it's a big gifting time, it's a big time for consumption. Anything that Nykaa is going to be doing for the festive season? Are you seeing a strong demand? What is your festive season plan? It's the first big festival that we're going to have in the COVID era.
I think honestly, like a lot of e-commerce players, we will go into sales. We will have a big bang sale, both in the beauty business and in the fashion business in November. And, those sales tend to have very disproportionate sales that happen across that week. So you can expect that. I think and Tara, we've spoken so many times that Nykaa doesn't believe in really discounting out of its own pocket. So we are sort of vehicles to grow our brands, and brands will have big discounts, and that will be translated into big sales that we'll host on our platforms.
Okay, now a lot of startups had no choice. They had to announce salary cuts. There were large-scale retrenchments as well. Many of them have started restoring that. What's the story at Nykaa?
So I think that's something Nykaa is quite proud of, that we actually didn't cut any salaries and we didn't cut any jobs. And that was a decision that we really thought long and hard about. And it did, we did lose a lot of money during those months with no revenue coming in. But we're quite proud about that. And I think it comes back to just, feeling a lot of responsibility for those who work for us, and wanted to preserve all and every job. And that includes everyone, obviously, in headquarters, but also everyone in physical stores and in, all our back-end support functions as well.
Okay, so you didn't cut any salary, you didn't do a single layoff. Adwaita, my final question to you. So with all of this that's happened, business growing, expansion plans underway, and you didn't go in for the cost-cutting measure that many of your peers did, will Nykaa go in for a fundraise? And with so many startups also making a beeline for IPO Street, will Nykaa be doing it? Your mom, ace banker, Adwaita Nayar, took so many companies public. Is she up to something?
I honestly don't know her plans, so you'll have to check with her. But I think, I don't think there's any immediate need for funds immediately. I think we have raised a couple of rounds, which obviously you're aware of. And like I said, the business is making money and it is supporting a lot of our new initiatives. So things are looking pretty okay for now. But in terms of IPO plans, I'm not the right person, and you know who to ask.
Right. Thanks a lot, Adwaita, for joining us here. Here's wishing you and the entire team at Nykaa all the very best. We will reach out to Ms. Falguni Nayar as well and figure out if there are any IPO plans. There's so many startups that are now talking about it. You've had it all starting, of course, with Zomato. Grofers, for example, is talking about it. Every second day, a new name is saying they will head for the large street. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a short commercial break, but stay tuned. A lot lined up on the other side, including Apple's store going live online.